What up? It's your man Jimmy Chan. Alright, so today we're talking about linear functions and their slope. So first I'm going to start with an example here. If we're giving a slope and a point, most of you guys like to start with the point slope form, where you will say y minus a negative 5 is equal to 6 times x minus a 2. Okay, let's finish this up. So you got y plus 5 is equal to 6 times x minus 2. This is your point form, which is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So you're going to see problems that are going to ask you for the point slope form. However, we tend to finish this and we get to y plus 5 is equal to 6x minus 12, and then we get y equals 6x minus 17. Right? This, however, is now the slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Okay, so let's go ahead and call that blue, and let's call this right here red. No, let's go with purple. Okay, so now we know what those two forms are. Now, if we were to get everything together on one side, like if we were doing quadratic equations, but we're not going to actually do quadratic equations, let's say I want to get everything to one side. So over here, I'm going to actually move the y to the other side. Okay, so now I'm going to have, I don't like that line. Now what we actually have is 6x minus y minus 17 is equal to 0. This is called the general form. Of a line. Okay, which is really ax plus by equal plus c equals 0. All right, so let's make that green. And typically I like a to be positive. All right, typically I like the a to be positive, but that's the reason why I brought the y over to the other side rather than the everything else to the left side. All right, so those are your three forms that you're going to need to remember and know and be able to write it to that final form. All right, now the other part that you need to know about the general form is that they typically like you to do to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept and graph it that way. So what do we know about the x-intercept? In general, x-intercept, y is always equal to 0. So you just set y equal to 0, solve for x. In the y-intercept, x equals 0. So you replace the x with 0 and solve for y. And then you'll have your 2 points, which in this case would be your wherever x is, comma, 0. And in this case, 0, comma, y. So let's bring this all over left a little bit so that it can actually fit in the page. All right. So typically that's the way they would want you to solve if they were to give you the general form of a line, all right? So the other part that we usually talk about is, let's make a table here. So if an equation has ... an x and a y, right? What kind of line do we have? We're going to have a diagonal line. Right? And with the diagonal line, what we know is that if going from left to right and the line rises, right? If the line rises, then we know it's going to be a positive slope. However, going from left to right, if it falls, then we're going to have a negative slope. All right? Now, what if we only have an x in the equation? If we have x in the equation, then we have a vertical line. That means we have a vertical here, which means that slope is undefined, right? And again, if we have only a y value in the equation, then we have a horizontal line. Which we know that the slope is equal to 0. All right. So what else do we know about slope? Well, slope we know as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we also know this to be rise over run, right? So that should cover everything with this particular chapter or this particular section. So again, we know the point slope form, we know the slope intercept form, and now we're introduced to the general form, right? Is to get everything on one side, so the x comes first and the y and then the constant. And then we, again, this is just a reminder of, in case if we have an equation that has an x and y in it, we have diagonal lines left to right. If it goes up or rises, it's a positive slope going from left to right. If it falls or goes downward, then we know we have a negative slope. And we only have x in the equation, then we just get x by itself. And now we have a vertical line, and we got y, only y in the equation, then we solve for y, and we have a horizontal line. All right? Hopefully that helps with your homework. If there's any questions, let me know. See ya. Bye.